So for a long time, I believed this village where I wasn't born was the whole world. Now that I've seen the world and know it's made out of many little villages, I'm not so sure I was so very wrong as a boy. A village has its purpose if it's only the fun of leaving it. A village also means that you're not alone, that you know that in those people, those trees and that soil, there is a part of you.
Cinghiali e muovono la notte su questa terra così dura, questa terra che non dorme, mentre passano gli amanti e scuotono le foglie di questa terra così pura, questa terra che si muove e passa un po' di tutto e tutto è già passato su questa terra così piena di passi del passato.
The municipality of Santo Stefano Belbo can be found on the margin of the Langhe and comprises an area of approximately 23 square kilometers, an area that consists mainly of hills made up of calcareous and sandy marlstone, the exception being the alluvial plain formed by the river Belbo. The town itself is situated 175 meters above sea level, while the slopes on the two sides of the river, above all to the north, reach heights that culminate in the 590 meters of Falchetto.
E passa un po' di tutto, e tutto è già passato, anche la dannata guerra ha preso qui qualche soldato. Passa anche la luna in un mucchio di stelle chiare a sfiorare le colline su questa terra che si vede il mare.
The Langhe enclose a vast area of hills that vary between 450 and 800 meters in height, lying between the Tanaro and Bormida rivers, a land characterized by extraordinary fertility. The principal hilly conformation of the Langhe consists of a combination of long ridges that emerged from an ancient sea gulf aligned north to south and separated by gullies excavated by the numerous hill torrents flowing toward the Tanaro River basin. In fact, it is said that the Langhe were born from orogeny, in other words, the corrugation of the Po Sea during the Tertiary period as a result of the conglomeration of sandstone, marble, lime and chalk. Although they are near the Alps, these hills belong to the Apennine system.
Amore mio, vorrei portarti qui a respirare insieme a me questa luna che...
Santo Stefano Belbo is a world that unfailingly steers you not only towards a historical past that loses itself in the beginning of the 11th century, but also towards a more recent history, that recounted by Cesare Pavese, the illustrious 20th century writer born at Santo Stefano Belbo on the 9th of September 1908. Here, everything recalls the great poet and his novels, from the town's streets to the house he was born in, from the names of the locations, Il Salto, La Mora, Il Nido, the House of Nuto. On the hill of Santa Libera, southeast of the town centre, rises the seriously damaged medieval tower. This is the only material proof of the primitive built-up area of Santo Stefano Belbo and the castle that rose there. In 1989, during excavation work carried out at the foot of the tower, the outline of a late Romanesque habitation was uncovered.
Ci sono due pezzi di cielo, guardate, guardate su in quel vallone. Ci sono dei pezzi di cielo, guardate più a destra su quel costone. Ma non può più essere cielo, sotto le nubi che dividono il mondo. Non può più essere cielo, è certo qualcosa portato dal vento.
The town's ancient parish church of St. James and St. Christopher was born in the villa at the foot of Santa Libera Hill, where, next to the castle ruins, the 13th century tower stands out. Until the end of the 13th century, the church was in the care of the canons of Ulzio. It was then united with the canonry of Alba Cathedral, from which it was emancipated in 1577. In 1336, the community statutes are ratified by the General Council that had met here. Substantial building work is ordered by Monsignor Vincenzo Marino, Bishop of Alba, who visits the church in 1576, as does Monsignor Girolamo Regazzoni, who in particular, in 1577, recommends walling up the adjoining cemetery. 1698 sees the demolition of the ruined and half-crumbling Umiliate oratory that rose in front of them. In 1926, parish affairs are transferred to the new Church of the Sacred Heart of Jesus, the construction of which began in 1920.
Guardatore del cielo, contatore di stelle e domatore di nuvole. Quanti passi a salire, a scalare le stati.
After a daunting campaign of restoration during the 90s, the ancient church becomes the seat of the Cesare Pavese Foundation.
E scompare lontano, viaggiatore d'autunno, dietro al confine, insieme a tutto il passato e sotto il cappello, un grande amore, poi la distesa, tutta terra straniera, fra venti e recinti e quell'odore di Spagna sopra la pelle.
The oldest place of worship seems to be, however, Frazioni di Valdivilla Parish Church, dedicated to St. Margaret of Antiochia and dating back to the 13th century. The Abbey of San Gaudenzio was erected by the Benedictines on the site where, perhaps in Roman times, rose a temple dedicated to Jupiter Capitolinus. Outstanding monument of Roman architecture, it still boasts artistically interesting features. Parts of the body of the building, the three semicircular apses, vestry, mosaics and sculptures.
Dietro il fiume e ancora giù, fino al mare, a guardare su, solo per sentire verso l'orizzonte se sta per soffiare, fino a quando la notte non faccia dormire.
On the hill to the west of the town, not far from the road to Valdivilla, there rises the monastery of San Maurizio. From the early 17th century until 1840, this was where barefoot Franciscans and Cistercians lived and worked. On the summit of Moncuco Hill, to the northwest of the area, the Madonna della Neve shrine stands out. The chapel is dedicated to the Very Holy Mary, Our Lady of Sorrows and the Snow. From here, every year on the 4th of August comes the signal to light the bonfires that illuminate the surrounding hills. The municipal land is studded with votive pillars and chapels. In Borgata Santa Libera, there is the church dedicated to Santa Liberata Vergine. In Località San Grato, there is the small church of the same name. Another chapel is dedicated to the Assumption, also known as Madonna delle Rose. To the northeast, on the highest point of the land, Località Bauda, almost on the boundary with Canelli, rises the chapel of Sant'Eufrem.
Di pensiero, un'occhiata, una ragione sotto il duro, dietro il nero, che non mi riesce di parlare, nel momento di dover dire, che non mi riesce di restare, nel momento di partire. Datemi il mio cuore, tiratemelo fuori, tu che mi chiami amore, aiutamelo fuori, datemi il mio cuore, tiratemelo fuori da qui. Sotto un mucchio di pensiero s'è incastrato questo cuore e non va avanti, non va indietro e grida senza far rumore. C'è un quintale di silenzio che si deve trasportare, che non gli riesce di fuggire, non gli riesce di scappare. C'è del sangue e del sorriso sotto un mucchio di pensiero, e c'è del sole sopra un viso, dietro il chiuso, dentro il vero, che non mi riesce di gioire nel momento di giocare, che non mi riesce di dormire nel momento di sognare. Datemi il mio cuore, tiratemelo fuori, tu che mi chiami amore, aiutamelo fuori, datemi il mio cuore, tiratemelo fuori da qui.
The major part of Santo Stefano Belbo's economy revolves around wine production, above all Moscato d'Asti and Asti Spumante DOCG. The main resource of the town and its surrounding area is in fact vine cultivation, in particular the highly valuable Moscato. The grape grows on hills whose geological conformation and exposure favor the ripening of the grapes and the acquisition of their typical organoleptic properties. The esteemed wine, Moscato d'Asti, is considered one of the prides of Piedmontese enology. Its unmistakable aroma and flavor make it particularly suitable for refreshments and desserts.
Quel sorriso rotolare, complimenti signorina, pelle bianca da bambina, per quell'anima pulita.
This in turn has also resulted in a whole series of related eno-mechanical business. Among the many we must mention Santo Stefano's leading position in the world for the manufacture of full bottle cleaning and drying machines, as well as those for copper sulfate spraying. In addition to a thriving commerce, artisan work and small industry linked to enology and tonda gentile hazelnut cultivation complete the picture.
Benzina che non sanno più partire, signorina, signorina, mi dica dove devo andare, quali rotte da seguire per viaggiare in questo mare, signorina.
For over 3 centuries, Piazza Umberto I has played host to a crowded weekly market that attracts customers from the whole surrounding area.
Quelle mani di farina impastate ad acqua e sole, e poi mi dica signorina, ma quanto mi potrà costare qualche scampolo di vita, un'occasione da comprare, poi vada pure.
The production area for Moscato d'Asti wine, of which Santo Stefano is the nucleus, is comprised of 52 municipalities in the provinces of Asti, Cuneo and Alessandria. Produced almost exclusively by medium-small companies or cooperative sellers that only process grapes from their vineyards, Moscato d'Asti has achieved extraordinary levels of quality, thanks to the widespread use of modern enological technology, in particular that of cold maceration, that not only allows the wine to keep the fruit's aromas and flavors, but also stabilizes the product, enabling its conservation and transport. History, tradition, dedication, astute enterprise, application and continual research maintain its value, exalting its special characteristics. The Asti, denominazione di origine controllata e garantita, is reserved for 2 wines: the Asti or Asti Spumante sparkling wines, the Moscato d'Asti lightly sparkling white wine.
Pure signorina, che io rimango qui a guardare quell'andare di collina, quel sorriso rotolare.
Cesare Pavese was born in Santo Stefano Belbo on the 9th of September 1908. Here, his father, registrar at the court of Turin, owns a small holding on the road to Canelli, a few hundred meters from the workshop of the man who will be his best friend for his whole life, Pinolo Scaglione, who will become Nuto in the novel La Luna e il Falò, The Moon and the Bonfires. Pavese will attend elementary school at Santo Stefano Belbo before definitively moving to Turin following the death of his father.
Ti senti al centro del mondo brillare.
In the Piedmontese capital, he gains a degree in letters with a thesis on the American poet Walt Whitman, and after a brief period as a teacher, begins his literary career.
Un temporale, quando più non l'aspetti, hai mai visto la luna, un pezzo tutta intera, far cadere una stella, per cercare fortuna, giocare. Ma l'hai mai vista la luna? Hai mai sentito la luna? Il rumore di luna, che è un silenzio totale, fatto solo di vento, e che sbianca la notte, che non lascia dormire, che confonde i canti.
He takes on an intense translation task: Melville, Sinclair Lewis, Dos Passos and Faulkner, bringing American literature to Italy for the first time. In 1933, he is one of the founders of the publishing house Einaudi, to which he will always be tied by community of interest and ideals. In 1934, he edits the magazine La Cultura, and in 1935 is arrested for suspected anti-fascist activity and sentenced to internal exile at Brancaleone, Calabro. On return to Turin, he picks up his cultural work with double the spirit, achieving his first successes and increasing his reputation as a poet and writer. At the same time, however, he goes through the painful chapter of a maturity marked by profound unease and a strong sense of guilt. This is born from incapacity to take an active part in social life during a period of intense debate and conflict between politics and culture. Success arrives with his work published at the end of the 40s, his most fruitful period, but without solving his existential problems. So much so that 2 months after the consecration of the Strega Prize for La Bella Estate, the Fine Summer, he ends his difficult life with suicide on the 27th of August, 1950.
Scavando nella polvere, tra le vecchie pagine, ho trovato pozzanghere non asciugate mai, frammenti di pensieri che riempiono degli angoli, testimoni di momenti lasciati lì da un poi.
His casa natale, the house he was born in, his parents' summer holiday home, is on the outskirts on the main road to Canelli. Sold following the premature death of his father, today it is the seat of the Centro Pavesiano Casa Natale Museum. The Casa Laboratorio di Nuto, house and workshop of Nuto, whose real name was Pinolo Scaglione, can be found shortly before Mora. His house is halfway up the Salto and stands on the open highway. There's a smell of fresh sawed wood there, of flowers and shavings. In my first days at La Mora farm, because I came from a cottage and a barnyard, Nuto's house seemed to be another world. It was the smell of the highway and the strolling musicians and the villas of Canelli, where I'd never been. Together with the Salto, La Collina di Gaminella is one of the two faces of the universe of the novel The Moon and the Bonfires. Surrounded by a halo of mystery and impossible to know completely due to its size, without doubt it is the most imposing hill on the Santo Stefano landscape, so much so that Pavese himself compares it to a planet. That which Pavese called Il Salto is the perfectly symmetrical Gaminella Hill that skirts the road to Canelli.
Con parole d'occasione e non c'è più l'emozione che l'ha fatta scrivere e non si può cantare ma rimane dentro.
With its unusual architecture, La Palazzina del Nido dominates the entire valley. It is to be found in the municipality of Canelli, and its location, with its difficult access, has saved the house from any type of alteration. Santo Stefano Belbo's small station, where Pavese's characters arrived and departed, is still the same, together with its tracks. The Angelo Hotel, described in The Moon and the Bonfires, also really existed in Santo Stefano Belbo. It could be found in the Old Town, but closed after the war. As a result, in his novel, Pavese gives the same name to the Posta Hotel in the town's main square, in which, after the sale of his birthplace, he usually stayed whenever he returned to Santo Stefano. On the 7th of September 2002, the remains of Cesare Pavese are moved, with his relatives' consent, to Santo Stefano Belbo Cemetery. The tombstone under which the writer rests is made of Langhe stone and bears the inscription, "I gave men poetry."